you know if someone is a great potential best friend? So if you are looking for a new best friend right now, we're going to answer all the questions. Like, is it when they choose you that you know? Do you know that they're a great best friend when you meet them and you instantly just click? Are your standards too high if you haven't met a potential best friend yet? We are going to demystify all of this. I'm going to tell you about what clicking really is, and I'm going to give you six things to look for in a friend. And reciprocalness in the beginning is not one of those 6 things. So stay tuned to see what really are, okay? And I'll tell you also why at the end. That being said, something so cool, y'all. I am using my notes from my article with CNN on platonic soulmates. I'm so excited! It was featured at CNN, or about to be, depending on when this episode airs. If it has aired, I will definitely link it down below. Okay, and then for those of you that don't know me, hi, I'm Jewel, and I am a social connection expert. That's why I was featured in CNN, or about to be. And I have over 5,000 hours of coaching individuals from all over the world on high-functioning social anxiety, on friendship, on charisma, and I also facilitate workshops for wellness events and companies on belonging. But before all that, y'all, at one point I wanted a new BFF, and I was looking for a new potential BFF. So let's start with talking about clicking.
Nice.
Because I think so many people think that, oh, I will know that I have found like my next best friend when we click. And I do think there's some truth to that, but like really stay with me here. Let me explain. So to really demystify clicking and what it is, clicking happens when two people feel an immediate sense of ease, understanding, of resonance. The best way I can describe it, y'all, is that it's thoughts like, you get me, and I'm like you. Don't they do that in Tarzan? If you can't see me, I'm like you. So some other ones are like, oh, you see me, and I feel safe with you. And one of my favorites you can always tell is when you're in a conversation with somebody and then all of a sudden they say something and you go, oh my gosh, me too, same.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup. Do you want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.
So this clicking feeling, this immediate ease happens when we have shared values or some things in common, some similarities. Now, there is a huge caveat to that. Huge caveat. So, do not get super focused on we have to have things in common. This is because of homophily, and what that is, it's our brain's natural tendency to connect with those that we feel are similar to us, like faster. And it's because it fosters mutual understanding and comfort. It creates this cognitive ease where we don't have to put as much mental effort in to understand this person, and it makes the interaction feel more seamless and enjoyable. Have y'all ever seen this happen with people? Have y'all ever like met somebody and been like, I know who you'd click with? This is part of the reason why. And if you want to set yourself up for clicking with more people, I will link it wherever links are, but I did an episode on how to click with more people, and it was really good. So you should go listen to it, check it out if you are interested. Now, again, I said a huge caveat though when it comes to things in common. And I say this because especially with my female clients, I see this happening where people are out there looking for like the perfect best friend. And people are trying to find somebody that's like in the exact same life stage as them, that has the same life goals, that has like a similar career path to them, likes the same even style of clothing, all of that. And y'all, what I want to offer is that it might surprise you who you have these moments of, oh my gosh, me too, with. Because what you have in common might not be readily identifiable. And think about it. Like, do you have a friend that is very different from you and you still feel like you click? So, for an example, when I was out here looking for a new potential best friend, I came across the best friend that I have now. And when I met her, she was a bit more introverted. She didn't really like to hang out in groups. She was super into sports. Didn't, at the time anyway, didn't really follow politics too much. And I love being in groups, and I don't really like sports. And I also love to have like these like huge intellectual conversations that like she doesn't particularly love. So here's how I really clicked with this person, because what we had in common was that we loved to talk about mental health. We loved to go deep and to go on walks and to emotionally support each other. The majority of the time, we both value seeing people in the best light and sharing affection, like regularly, like words of affirmation. And so when I met her, I felt that sense of clicking. But to like the average bear, if you will, that may have not been readily identifiable. Like if I were to just make a checklist and be like, okay, I have to have a mom friend just like me. They have to be around my age. They have to whatever. By the way, I'm not a mom. I'm just using this as an example. But you see what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to have exactly everything in common like that. We can have this cognitive ease with people, and it might surprise you who you have it with. And what really creates this, and I talked about it as similarities, but what we find to be similar is like shared values, emotional safety, and a mutual attentiveness. And sometimes there's like small cues like clothing and stuff like that. But I love colors and bright things. And I'll tell you what, I don't think any of my best friends really do. All that said, regardless of whether you have that sense of cognitive ease, you have that clicking feeling, that, oh my gosh, me too kind of moment, clicking with somebody is not enough to turn them into a best friend. It's not. I mean, you don't just meet somebody and immediately call them up and cry to them when it's kind of late at night. You don't just meet somebody and feel comfortable enough just like popping in their house unexpectedly. You don't just meet somebody and can lay on their couch, no makeup, and do nothing together, right? You don't just meet somebody and immediately become BFFs. To become a best friend, to turn somebody into a confidant, you have to spend lots of time with them. You do. And before you get discouraged about that, I have so many episodes on how to make connection without, burning yourself out. And next week's episode is going to be about how to move somebody closer to you and deepen the bond. And yes, time is a part of that, but we're going to be talking about how to make it so easy. So stay tuned till next week. And if you don't want to wait, I really encourage y'all to check out episode 2, where I explained to my friends how I made them my friends using friendship science. Yeah, it was really good. It was real good. Anyway, that being said, how do you know when you have met a good potential best friend when you first meet them? And clicking may be a part of that for you, but let's go over these 6 things, and you are going to see why at the end of these 6 things, why reciprocation is not one of the things to like look for early on. Okay. So first thing to look for when you're meeting people and you're looking for a new potential best friend is, do they show early signs of mutual respect? For the most part, because nobody's perfect. Do they listen without interrupting or judging? Do they treat you and others with kindness and consideration? Second thing to look for in a potential best friend is, are they willing to share and be open? So is it easy to talk with them, and do they disclose things about themselves? Do they ask you thoughtful questions and also genuinely engage in the conversation? You might be like, okay, I can see why that's helpful, but I don't know why that's like a staple. Let me tell y'all why it's a staple. Because you might meet an emotionally unavailable partner and still be able to build a connection with them. But it's really hard to build a meaningful friendship with somebody if they're not emotionally available. And you will tell that they're not emotionally available if they're not willing to disclose anything really about themselves and talk about themselves at all. I'm not saying that they need to tell you their whole life story right when they meet you. We've actually talked about in other episodes how that can make people feel unsafe. Check out, I don't mean to like link all my episodes, but we've been covering these topics for a while now, I guess, right? We've been doing this podcast for a minute. Hey. So I have an episode on how I used to try to trauma dump my way into best friendships. Anyway, it can make people feel really unsafe. And I encourage you to check out that episode if you are maybe one of those oversharers. I was. So I'm with you. But the reason why you might be able to build a relationship with somebody as a partner when they're emotionally unavailable is because normally when we're dating somebody, it's very normal to be like, okay, we went out this week. Can I see you next week? Okay. The following week after that, can I see you 2 times that week? Like we build more and more time with that person. And so we can build a relationship that way. We don't typically do that with friends. So it's something I would really prioritize and look for. Are they willing to share? Now, if you just got discouraged because you're like, oh my gosh, it's not normal to hang out with friends often, babe. First of all, it can become more normal. We can be the changers in that societal script and hang out with our friends more often. We can. Even us like 30-year-olds and beyond. And there are certain things that we can do to build that bond faster. And it's so fun to spend time with people and feel connected, is it not? So if you just freaked out, it's okay. We got you. Okay. The third thing to look for in a potential best friend is, do they show early signs of reliability? So for the most part, do they show up on time or follow through with small commitments? Do their actions align with their words, even early on? And that's in the relationship, but also in their lives in general. Now, also that being said, I will always be 5 to 10 to 20 minutes late to the function if it is a casual hang. I have ADHD. I think that sure, I have 5 minutes before I have to leave my house and commute to your house. Sure, I can complete 5 different tasks in that 5 minutes. I'm delusional. Does this mean I have ADHD? Does this mean that I am not reliable as a friend? Heck no. So again, give people some grace. Don't hold them to impossible standards. We're connecting with each other as like other humans here. And I would say just look for it in other ways in their lives as well. Okay. Now the fourth thing that I want y'all to look for when you are out here meeting people for new potential best friends is proximity. Are they located near you? Are they geographically close? Now, the reason why I say this is because I'm guessing that the majority of you want a friendship that you can just readily do activities with, that you can pop over to their house and like bring them soup when they're sick, that they can, go check on your house if you are on vacation, right? We can readily be like, hey, want to go on a walk? So I think proximity and prioritizing that is really helpful. That said, this isn't something that everybody needs. And I mean, I think we see that in the gaming community. They meet regularly, sometimes multiple times a week. And so they might be on the other side of the world and still be able to build a really close bond. So it doesn't apply to everybody, but I'm guessing it's applying to most of you. Fifth thing I want you to look for. And it's basically the clicking that we just broke down and described. But do you have this feeling of emotional resonance? And I want to say for you to look for this. And I also want to say, I think when we think of like clicking, we think of this like magical moment that just doesn't happen very often. But for the most part, y'all, do you feel some ease in the conversation? Talking with them. It doesn't have to be like so huge every single time and be like, yes, that's how I know. But do you, for the most part, have ease when you're talking to them? Okay. This is important because this is going to help you later on as you continue to build bonds because you already feel ease with this person. Okay. And then the sixth thing here And this is why we're not worried about reciprocation in the beginning. But I want you to look for, are they relatively enthusiastic about you? I think looking for enthusiasm in the beginning is way more helpful than looking at, are they reciprocating? And I use this distinction on purpose because a lot of times when people hear reciprocation, they think of actions. They think of, okay, did I call you first last time? Or did they think of, oh, you didn't text me back, or they didn't invite me to the party, or whatever it is, right? We think of actions. I want y'all to notice enthusiasm because I want y'all to notice a bit of energy instead in the beginning. How are they towards you? Are they enthusiastic about you, reciprocating energy to you? And the reason why I say really looking for this in the beginning, don't get mad, reciprocation is important in friendship later on. In the beginning, when you are making a new friend, to look for enthusiasm instead of reciprocation, because y'all don't have the habit of being in each other's lives yet, right? You don't have the habit of doing so. So they're going to be slow to text back. They're not going to think of you immediately when an event comes up. You aren't woven into each other's lives yet. The familiarity of being there for each other, the habit of interacting together hasn't happened yet. And so it might take you initiating a bit more in the beginning to make that more normal. Okay? And so I don't want y'all to miss out on a fantastic, fulfilling, amazing best friendship because you're like, well, I initiated and then I didn't hear anything back. If you initiate with somebody one time, they might be like, oh, that was nice. That was nice of them to do that. They might not be like, oh, they really want to be friends with me. I wouldn't think that if somebody was like, hey, want to get a coffee? I wouldn't be like, clearly you want to be close with me, right? So initiate a few times. It's okay. But look for the energy that they're giving back to you. Look for the reciprocated enthusiasm instead, because maybe they don't text you back right away. Maybe they don't initiate with you, but maybe when they do respond to you, they're like, oh my gosh, girl, you are just adorable. Yes, we absolutely got to plan a time to get together. So if they affirm you, if they offer another time to see you, if they're like, oh, I'm so busy, but I would really like to get together, that's enthusiasm about you. In the beginning, it's way more helpful to look for that rather than to be like, oh my gosh, I'm initiating so much. You just haven't built the habit of being in each other's lives yet. And then over time, you can look for things like reciprocation and trustworthiness and things along those lines, right? Okay, so just to recap, the first one is mutual respect. The second one is willingness to share. The third one is reliability. The fourth one is proximity, location. The fifth one is emotional resonance. On some level, is there ease talking with them? And then the sixth one is enthusiasm when it comes to you. And again, next week I'm going to be going over how to move somebody closer. So once you have found these things, then you're going to have next week's episode to be like, okay, here's what I do to bring you closer to make a new best friend. So stay tuned for next week. But I really hope y'all got from this episode some guidance and you really understood that it's not just about shared hobbies or just about instant chemistry. It's about emotional resonance, mutual respect, early signs of reliability and enthusiasm, and that being friends with somebody, being close with somebody does take some time built up together. So I hope this helped demystify a lot. Thank you so much for joining me. So until next time, y'all, keep looking for those, oh my gosh, me too moments and nurture those connections that feel easeful. They are worth it and you are worth it. You are worth being friends with. See you next time. Thanks for joining me on the Socially Delightful podcast. I'm Jewel, and I'm truly so grateful that you came and hung out with me today. If this podcast meant something to you, it would mean so much to me if you left me a review so that way I could keep making content that you love. And if you really want to make my whole day, Share this podcast to your Instagram story and tag me at Connection with Jewel so I can shout you out. Or send me a message and let me know what resonated with you or what you want to hear next. And I'll see you at the next episode.